Evil Squid Comics Podcast, episode 30. We made it to 30, Don.
3-0.
3-0. It only took us, what, 2 years?
We only do it, we only do it every other week, so it's actually been
most of the time
60 weeks.
But we've missed a few.
Yeah,
It's been longer than that. Probably a year and a half. I don't know. When did we start? Who knows?
Hey, my phone buzzed.
Anyway, I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
You are Don.
And I'm Scott.
And we get together
No, you always go second.
every
I don't know what he's
couple of
doing.
weeks and talk about comic books, I think. Most of what we talk about. Movies. I purchased that.
Ooh.
And then we talk about, apparently we're going to talk about board games as well today, which is cool because we all like board games.
Well, just because it's quick, it's small, and whatever the heck
And
else.
Scott's
And like
been
I
playing
said,
the hell out of it.
I
so.
played it quite a bit this weekend,
It's
so
fine with me.
it kept me away from
That wasn't
reading.
meant as a dig.
So.
I just
No, that's
said
good,
we
that's
talk
good.
about
Sounded
it.
like
We're good.
I'm
sorry.
No.
I didn't mean for it to come across.
That's okay. It's good. I
All
was just
right.
explaining why. So.
Yes, Scott.
Marvel Infinity War or
War.
whatever the hell came out this week.
I know I rented it so my wife
Or
could
was it
watch
this week?
it.
I guess it was last week, right?
She
When it came
watched
out.
about an hour.
Deadpool 2.
Fell asleep.
Deadpool 2 came out.
Yesterday.
I
2
watched
came
about
out
an
this
hour
week.
and 15 minutes and fell asleep. Woke up, realized nobody was watching it, and I'd already seen it, so I turned it off and went to bed.
Infinity
bought
War?
it.
Yeah.
I bought it.
None of the rest of your family had seen it?
No, everybody's seen it except my wife, and she fell asleep.
Oh, she
So
fell asleep. Okay.
I just turned it off.
So you just turned it off because then it
Who
was
the hell
just you.
cares? I've already seen it.
You need to see it more than once.
Well, I saw the first hour of it more than once.
You need to see it like 20 times.
It's a good movie. I like it.
It is good. The bonus features though on that thing,
Not so good?
I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, but there's really not much there.
Hmm.
I mean, they
only like
say
2
like
hours.
there's like 4 hours worth of
Bonus
bonus
footage.
features. Well, I mean, if you count all the commentary crap that's on there and whatever, I still have a hard time believing there was even 2 hours worth of stuff. I sure thought that we got through it quicker than that.
I thought I saw on the box it said 2 hours.
It might have said that, but I still think that I thought, yeah, after you watch the little featurettes, the gag reel, and the deleted scenes, but I don't think that was 2 hours worth of stuff.
I didn't watch
So-
any of the special features.
Did you both buy it then?
I bought it.
I bought it, yeah. Well, I bought it because, well, I'm a sucker for those type of things anyway.
Scott
In
buys
general,
everything.
I know, but if like I
He's
go
loaded.
into
buy the Marvel
Target.
movies.
I go into Target, and it's like, ooh, super special collectors type thing, and it comes with like this little cool art book thing, and stuff. I'm like, ooh, so
Mine
I buy
didn't
it, but it
come
has
with
like a exactly. So it's like this little special thing.
he's
So I'm
better
like,
than you.
ooh, so
Mine didn't come with that. Mine
I know.
was just the movie, the Blu-ray, and they didn't even give you like a DVD anymore. Now it's
I know.
just
Now it's just the
digital
Blu-ray
copy.
and the digital copy.
Oh,
So the
can I
one,
have the digital code?
huh?
No,
Can I buy it from you for $1?
you could buy it from me for $3.
So here's the thing I did.
$2.50.
I bought the one with the 4K, the Blu-ray,
Wow.
and the digital
Do
copy.
you have a 4K TV?
I don't, but my dad does, and a 4K player, so I can go give him the copy. So it was like a double
Gotcha.
dipping in there as well.
Sweet.
But like I said, because it
I
was like
didn't buy
limited.
it.
and
How
all
much
that
was the
stuff, so-
4K? Like 30?
Yeah, it was 30. Yeah, so it wasn't that much more. I think it was what, $5 more. So
I
I was
think
like,
it was 22,
is that what it was? Okay,
20, 30.
maybe it's a little bit more. I don't know.
24.
If you get the Target Red Card, you get 5% off.
I have the Target Red card. Yes.
Oh, so it was
So
only 27.
so tax is only two.
Good math, Don. knows
2
how
point-
that works. That would be 10%.
Oh, 28.50.
That's okay.
Your math skills. Ooh, it's a good day.
But it's still a very good movie, though. I'll
It
say.
is a good movie.
Yeah.
I saw Detroit. Have you seen that?
I have not. I
It's
don't
a good
really
flick.
see too much, and when I do, it appears that I
That was
rewatch them
Detroit.
over again.
It's got Finn in it.
Oh boy, that's a.
It's
selling
about the
point for me.
1967 riots in Detroit
Mm.
and the some fancy hotel where there's like a big where cops were like shooting black people for no reason.
Hmm.
It's pretty interesting.
Was it?
They,
I liked it. Well done. A little strange narratively the way it's structured. My wife
It's
was
just
like,
like
"This
22
movie's
miles."
weird." We watched the first 30 minutes, and my wife is like, "Is there gonna be like a story or a character or anything in this movie, or is it just random things?"
Is this a rental or is this a?
It is a rental.
Oh.
Huh.
It's been out for a while. I'm
Yeah.
cool with behind the curtain, but I didn't want to see it.
I had heard
What
of
else
it.
did we rent? We rented something else that was not good.
Justice League.
No, but that's not good. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna see Aquaman. That just looks bad.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. Well, I'll probably.
I don't even know if I'll rent it.
It
I think I'm
depends.
just disengaging from the DC.
It just
I don't-
depends on what my wife
Universe.
wants to do.
I don't know that. Now, see, I rented Justice League like when it came out. Like I didn't buy it,
Yeah,
so it's been a while since I've seen it.
gotcha.
Is it just like I just want it to be that bad, or is it really that bad? Like,
Justice League.
should I go? Should I?
Have
I
you
kind of
seen
want
it?
to see. Yeah.
Okay.
My problem with
It's
Justice
not for
League
me. I
is
want to watch it a second time.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
about
I-
to be watching it the second time.
I didn't
No,
feel
I
like
don't
it
think
was
that's a
like
good
a
idea.
train wreck like Batman versus
Yeah, it
Superman.
wasn't the worst
but
thing I've ever seen.
See, and I'm thinking Batman vs Superman might not have been as bad as I remember it either.
No, it's
Mm.
pretty bad. Well, the problem with that is it's just got a lot of stuff that isn't really needed.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a couple cool scenes, but it's spread out over like 3 hours.
I sometimes wonder that about what is it, Suicide Squad? Is it as bad as I
That
thought
is
it
bad.
was?
That's bad.
That's
Yeah.
bad.
Okay, so like,
That's really
okay,
bad.
so that's an interesting thing that popped up. So like maybe I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, month and a half ago ish.
Okay.
I was at home doing something, and Barbara was in the living room, and I came up, and Suicide Squad. She was watching Suicide Squad, and I'm like,
Willingly? Like, I'm
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and I'm like, why are you watching this? It's bad. You've seen it twice. You should know it's bad. And she's like, why does everybody say it's bad? Like, why is it bad? I'm like, it's just a bad movie. She's like, but that's what everybody says, but why is it bad? Like, give me specifics why
It's
it's
bad because
And I'm like, I couldn't
there's-
really explain
there's a
how
lot of
it's
actiony
bad.
stuff, and it's very samey. Like, it's just like they're fighting these guys for like 45 minutes, and it just feels like 5 hours of them fighting these guys. It's just very boring.
I'm like,
It's
well,
a
the
boring
Joker,
fight.
the Joker.
It
in
doesn't
is
flow
terrible.
very well either.
Yeah, it doesn't flow.
It doesn't have a very natural flow where they just suddenly throw in the Joker for no apparent reason, in different little sections, and it kind of, I felt like it pulled you away from whatever it was, but then again, it was pulling you away from the samey action that was happening too. So
And I
maybe
don't
that was
care about
part of
any of the characters. There's no good
maybe that's it. Yeah, there was
characterization.
not very well. But
I
to be
mean, Will
honest, the
Smith's
two,
character was kind of
Will Smith
interesting.
and Harley Quinn,
But they were more like just kind of like always. They were more like just the one-liner type characters. Like, they didn't have any depth. They just kind of said witty things here and there. They had a few good one-liners, but that was about it.
They really did get a chance to build up a team.
I swear, in like the first 20 minutes, I heard like at least 10 different songs.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen music used that fast.
I was like,
and
I
quickly in a movie.
don't know how to express to you how I feel that it's bad. It just is. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah, it doesn't work very well as a film.
I saw the trailer for Predator. They're redoing that.
Predators,
Predators.
isn't it? Or no, it's The Predator.
The Predator.
Shane Black
Right.
is writing it, maybe directing it as well.
And then
Is
I
he?
saw. I was watching TV the other day, and they had a commercial. They're redoing Papillon.
Papillon?
Remember that old movie?
Papillon?
Papillon. It's
A
called
pap-
Papillon.
Oh, I never knew
The
how to
L
pronounce
is
it.
silent.
Is that about the guy who's trying to escape in the raft
Yeah,
from Alcatraz?
I think.
Or Ellis Island?
Or else, I don't know, some
I don't know.
prison.
I don't think I ever saw it.
I don't think I ever saw it either, but I
Wow,
remember
I didn't even
of
know
the
that much.
movie. I remember of the movie.
I thought we had the book. Didn't Dad like have the book and we used to look at the book?
Maybe.
I think he had like the
But
book
I
that we
know
looked at.
they're remaking that movie, and it's the Jax from the biker. The bikes with the Sons of Anarchy.
Remember in our childhood home where we had the den and Dad had that cool bookcase with like the glass
I think I
thing
seen the
that went
poster for
over?
that just the other day.
And he had all those books in there. I used to look at those books all the time. It's kind of odd that we had a den because we only had like 2 bedrooms upstairs, and the downstairs was just like a mess. Like, I think we had the den even before we had the bedrooms downstairs, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So where did Mom and Dad sleep?
There was a bedroom.
There were only 2 bedrooms upstairs, weren't there? There's the den and then there's the bedroom. Where the hell did we sleep? I don't understand. Because the basement was one big room, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At one point.
I don't think he had the den until they tore the basement up and there were 2 bedrooms down there.
Oh, okay.
That would be my thought. Or no, he had the den. The one room. Wow. The one room was always there, I think.
Yeah.
And then you came down the stairs and there was a room.
Okay.
And
so
then
that was their
that
bedroom.
opened up into a big. No, they were upstairs. And
Where
we
were we?
upstairs.
Oh.
And
Where
the
was
den
the
was
den?
downstairs. And then you
I
had
don't
a
ever
big
remember the
open
den being
room.
downstairs. was younger than you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there was a den in that one bedroom.
So that was the den.
Then when they tore out the basement, they added another room on the opposite side of that, and then it was still like a big room, just with another room down there, and then they turned that into their bedroom.
Yes.
And that must have been when the bedroom when we had bedrooms downstairs, they had the den upstairs.
The den upstairs and the playroom.
And the playroom, and then the playroom turned into their bedroom. And then the upstairs turned into a playroom.
Yes.
Their old bedroom.
Right. Alright, I'm good.
And the other room.
Cool.
No other movie news? Or other comic-y type news of any type?
I don't know, there was a really cool line if you haven't seen The Predator. It was like a one-liner, like all the guys are in the army helicopter.
Yeah. You
won't think it's a cool line. But the guy's like, hey, he's like, if your mom's vagina was a video game, it would be rated E for everyone.
That's great.
Zing!
Your mama jokes.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the original Predator.
How the guys tell the stupid jokes.
How they just, they just tell the stupid jokes in the helicopter.
Right. Alright then. Cool. I'm not sure about that movie. I want to like it. I want a good Predator movie.
It has like a super Predator.
I like Shane Black in general. I think he's a good writer and a decent director. But I don't know. I don't have a Predator
running around chasing him.
I don't have a
Did he do Iron Man 3?
He did do Iron Man 3.
Ugh.
Iron Man 3 wasn't bad.
He wrote Lethal Weapon, I think. That was
he
his big
did.
claim to
Yes,
fame.
I think he.
The original.
The original.
He definitely had some.
He was a screenwriter.
Screenwriter
and
type credits.
Who did I? Okay, so we watched Lethal Weapon, the TV show.
Yes. I'm not sure why you would, but
because it's good. It's got a lot of throwbacks to the movies.
The movies.
And
that's how they get you.
But no, it's good. And you don't know. You've never seen it.
I just know it can't be good.
It is good.
Really?
Anyway,
I don't know.
Oh my god, I cannot believe.
I don't know that anything.
Are you watching Preacher?
Exactly. Nothing on that
No,
one.
I don't.
Have you watched any Preacher?
I have. I watched the whole first season, and that was all I saw.
Why are you not watching Preacher?
I don't know who to watch it with.
So freaking good. They're doing
Why isn't it on Netflix?
I don't know. It's on AMC.
Yeah, I know. So is Walking Dead on Netflix. So why isn't Preacher on?
I don't know. Can't you go on the AMC app and watch Preacher?
Probably.
It probably cost me money. I don't know.
I mean, I have AMC through my cable box, so I might be able to, but
oh, it's so good.
It's much easier if it's just on Netflix.
See, I don't even have Uverse anymore.
The third season.
Oh, you're cool. I wish I didn't have Uverse.
So. The third season, they are basically doing the whole the Grail with the Allfather and.
Can I be honest with you for a second?
What?
I haven't read Preacher in like 15 years. I remember very little about it.
Really?
Well, see, the
Cassidy was a vampire. That guy had a butt crack on his head.
Yeah, Hair Star.
Yeah, and that's about all I remember. And then what's his face blew his face off. What was it called? Face?
Arseface.
Yeah.
He's in it.
I understand. It's very close to the book.
I don't know how close it is to the book, though.
I haven't
I seem to remember.
Did you buy all those collections? Because you were reading them for the podcast for a while.
I bought the first 4. I think there were 6 of them. I don't have the last 2.
Petered out, huh?
I think I missed the solicits or something. Oh my god.
Sure, you can still order them.
So good.
Go
so
check
good.
it out sometime. But I mean, once again, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I already know the story. I've already read the book. Why do I really need a TV show? Like, at least Walking Dead is different.
But I think it's different because I don't remember. I don't remember it well enough either. I think I've only read it once or twice.
What's
once.
that? The Preacher? I remember it very well. I used to read it all the damn time.
So
what do you want to know?
Didn't like the Allfather? Didn't they like shove him out of a helicopter and he died?
Yeah, and honestly, they actually shoved him out of a helicopter and he landed on
Humperdew.
Well, yes, the
Messiah.
Jesus. Yes,
the guy
Messiah, the guy who was
been like crossbred
for through all the years, and he was Jesus' spawn.
Did they have a bunch of clones, or was there just the one?
Clones
of Humperdew.
As far as I remember, there was no clones.
Okay, so they switch it up a little bit different, but it's funny
So is our All-Father a big old fat guy there again?
And he eats everything, and then he has the stick and he throws up everywhere.
Yeah.
I know this is going to shock you.
The way they kill him is awesome in the TV show, though.
I'm actually a little bit excited about the Watchmen TV show.
Really?
They're doing a Watchmen TV show?
Yes, the
Like-
Game of Thrones guys are show running it, I believe.
Are they?
Hmm.
So is it
Maybe,
gonna
or
be?
maybe it's Damon Lindelof. I don't know. Somebody's show running it who seems kind of cool.
Hmm.
It's gonna be more of like a spin-off or a continuation or like.
Hold on.
It's not gonna be like a remake of Watchmen. It's gonna be like in the Watchmen world. But
You
yeah.
were the.
I know that's why it's gonna shock you.
You were the dude that was like so against
I know. I'm totally against Before
the
Watchmen. I
before
agree.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
And now you're all on board
I'm
for
just.
this other stuff.
It's weird. It's like I'm a little intrigued. Like it's
What
like
channel is this gonna be on?
HBO.
Oh.
Hmm.
So they can have all the sex and nudity that they want.
So it's, I
you
mean,
know
it's
that's
gonna
be
be.
there.
I mean, I think they just said they gave it the green light for like after they saw the pilot or something. They gave it for like a 10-episode order.
They ordered 15 seasons of it after seeing the
10
pilot.
episodes, I think. But I don't know, I'm kind of intrigued because it's almost like it's not necessarily a sequel or a prequel. It's going to be more like sounds like it's more like a in the world of Watchmen.
I would be much more excited if they did like an episodic Watchmen, like the book.
No, I
adaptation.
don't want anything to do with actual. I think the core Watchmen story is like sacred. Don't mess with that.
Huh.
But if you're doing like something in that world, like maybe a continuation or something, I don't know. It could be interesting
It could be.
It
if
might
it's
be.
well done.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alan Moore,
Oh,
I'm listening to Jerusalem.
Oh, the audiobook?
Uh-huh.
I bet that is quite a treat.
It's pretty freaking good so far.
Is
I
it
have
really?
no idea what
I'm
the
super
hell
surprised.
is going on.
Because that book is like 1,500 pages.
Yeah, it's like 60
in like
hours.
hardback. It's 60 hours.
60 hours.
Is it? It didn't even sound that interesting of a premise. Isn't it just about like people in the city like he grew up in?
I
or
guess.
Something?
I don't know yet, but it sounds.
Is there a plot?
There. So I'm
Or
like,
is it just 60 hours of rambling?
I'm like 7 hours in, and he's gone. He's introducing character. Like he will.
He's still
introduce a
introducing characters 7 hours in.
and he'll do a story, and then
About
that
the
story
character.
will abruptly end, and then he'll jump to another character, and he'll introduce another character,
And tell
and
a
he'll
story
tell a
about-
story about them, but it doesn't end the story, and then it abruptly ends, and then I'm on like the fourth character, and it jumps from time. Like the first one is kind of set in the 50s, and then it jumps forward to like now, or like like now, and then like the second story goes all the way back to like the 1800s, and then the third one is like now, and then the fourth one that I just started is like I think it's like back in Roman times, like
Well,
in centurions and stuff.
It
but
is on my bucket list of
I don't
books I'd
know.
like to read at some point, but it's gonna take something. I don't
Really?
know.
the
I may
guy
die first.
The guy that they have
I don't
doing
have
the audio
a
for the
bucket list of
audiobook
books.
is excellent.
Well, that
That's
helps.
good.
And I think that helps a lot. So I don't know if I would really like the book as much if I was reading it rather than listening. You know what I mean? Because
I always like books better. than
well, no, I do.
reading.
I like reading books too, but I just don't have the time to sit down. Well, I don't make the time to sit down and read
Yeah,
You
books.
should just read while you're driving.
Well, especially since
I know,
you're
that's what I'm
driving.
doing.
Though. Yeah,
No, just read while
especially
you're
since you're driving. That's a good idea to have the audiobooks. Yeah, that's good.
No,
But
actually read while you're driving.
I'm really.
Well, he's too busy reading signs.
that's what I'm too busy playing games on my phone.
Oh, that's right.
While you're
Yeah.
listening to an audiobook.
right.
While listening to an audiobook,
Yes.
yes.
That makes sense.
No, but I am enjoying it. I'm not very far into
And watching a
it.
movie and
But I
playing video games
enjoy
while
it.
driving.
I have like 3
Did you hear
monitors? set
Big
up.
Bang Theory, the next season is their last.
Officially?
What?
That's what the word is.
Are they tired of making
CBS.
money?
I
we're all
think the
tired of that
actors
show.
are tired of doing it.
Of making money?
I guess
Did
so.
they get like $2 million an episode?
They
or
get
something?
quite a bit. I don't know if that's the numbers, but yes.
I know they
I
got
hear that Sheldon is wanting to move on, and they figure they can't have the rest of the show without him. So
What's he gonna do? He's got nothing to do.
I don't think that he is. But if you have this bucket of money, do
He
you
doesn't
really
care. It's like the
care?
Friends.
So-
They just quit.
That's
Except
right.
Jennifer
And did they
Aniston.
really do anything else? For the
No.
most part, no.
Joey tried to just spin off. Lisa Kudrow tried to make a couple.
I was thinking
movies.
about that for some
Jennifer
odd
Aniston.
But I don't
reason.
know if they really needed the money anyway. They just
Oh,
wanted
no.
to do something.
They just
you
want
know?
to be famous.
That's,
Yeah.
well, I don't even know if it's that. Just keep doing something, keep working to a point.
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
Jennifer Aniston just wanted to keep making.
I think she
Fame.
did to
Yeah.
to a point, you know. But even then, is it fame or is it just the fact that they always want to make sure that they're still doing work of some type?
Yeah, it could
You
be.
know.
I'd be fine not doing work.
But they got to have some type of hobby, and if their work was their hobby
I got
anyway,
plenty of hobbies.
so yeah.
Yeah, but you're not them.
It's true, I'm not them. Alright, we both read The New World. I need to actually remember what this book was about.
You don't remember
now I
what
kind of
this book is
remember.
about?
Well,
That
I
book
read it a
was
while
awesome.
back. It was pretty cool.
You read this book?
Oh yeah.
We both read it. That's why I have 2 copies up here.
2 copies. I thought they were
So-
different.
They're different covers.
That's
They're
it.
different covers, yeah.
Wow, I thought they were like 2 different issues. Or 2
Trad
different-
Moore is the artist. Alice Cott
That
is
is
the
one
writer.
thick
L's
issue.
cop.
It's an
only
oversized-
$5.
It's oversized.
It's
So,
oversized.
you know what Felix Comic Art is, right? He's the art rep for a bunch of different artists. Well, he art reps Trad Moore, and I'm on his mailing list. He said it took Trad Moore a year to draw this issue.
Wow.
Because he, like...
What?
I don't know if I saw a year's worth of
Get
work in
out.
there. That's what he said. He said it took like a year to...
Working an hour a day
I don't know, dude.
with weekends off.
But anyway, this book was pretty cool. So it's another dystopian future, right? What did it remind you of? Let's see if it's the same. Like of something that's a current image book. Did it remind you?
Something that's a current image book?
Yeah.
No, not really.
East to West.
I haven't read East to West in like 8
But
months.
it's like the U.S. is like split into different like continents or different countries and
I
stuff.
didn't get that vibe.
I mean, that's about where the similarity ends.
So,
Obviously.
was there like a nuclear war? What happened
Nuclear
at the
bombs
a
went
nuclear
off.
bombs.
Nuclear bombs went off in 5 major cities.
Okay, that's
Now,
what it was. Because I
How
saw the little...
I don't know
Is Scott
exactly.
explaining the book to us, even though he hasn't read it?
He hasn't read.
Man, Scott's awesome.
But did you
brought-
see it? Did you see it coming?
I don't even remember
The
what I
twist?
saw coming. What was the twist?
Okay, so basically,
I don't know that one.
This girl, she's the main
She's a
character.
police officer, right?
Nah, kind of. It's like Cops meets what's the?
Oh yeah, it was like a TV show. It's like
Yeah,
Cops.
it's the game show. It's like
Cops versus the Running Man.
yeah, it's like Cops meets Running Man.
All right, so
basically-
she's a star in this show, and she chases people down.
right bounties,
Bounties.
criminals.
Of criminals, and so
And
so they catch someone, and then
The audience
the
gets
audience
to vote.
choose whether she kills them or doesn't.
Right, the audience gets to vote. They have a live vote for like whatever 5 minutes.
And of course, they always choose to kill.
They
the
always
person.
choose to kill the person.
And she always chooses not to, even though the audience.
Right.
Because she doesn't believe
She
in
doesn't believe
killing
in it,
or whatever.
and so she's always like number 2. She's like the second
Number
most
2.
popular
Because she doesn't kill.
because she doesn't kill, and the main guy, the number 1 guy, kills everything. So
Yeah,
he's
and
like-
isn't her dad like the president? or something?
her grandfather or somehow related to her. It's not her dad.
Okay.
I think it's her grandfather is the president.
It's the president of this, and she's in California, so
Yeah,
California turned
so
into its own country.
It's its own little country. It looks like there's like 4 of them.
Now I need to
thing.
remember what the big twist is.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
yeah,
so,
they're split
like,
up into 4.
so she has-
This one's taking place in the New California.
She has
Yes.
camera on her all the time or whatever,
Yes.
and so she goes out to the club.
To
Well,
the club.
So
There's
there's
to the club.
there's
Notice how in the future there's always still clubs.
yeah people have something to do
That's right.
in the 1200s they had
Bars,
taverns.
That's true.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's just technology's gotten different.
Just technology.
So she she tells the dude that it starts. There's a guy they hire as an intern who comes in with like 5 million
Oh, yeah.
pouches, and he's like an intern on the show.
Yes.
And
I
the
do
guy,
remember
he's
that.
running late, and the guy runs down and goes, "Oh, just run him through security because we have to.
Yeah.
We got to get the show going." And they're like, "Seriously, this guy has like 5 million pouches. We're not going to even run him through a metal detector." No, he's fine.
He's fine.
Well, he ends up going up there, and he is part of a what do you call it? Like a
Revolutionary.
revolutionary force or whatever. And he
He's
ends up
strapped
hacking
full of
in.
bombs.
Yeah, he has a hack device or whatever, and they basically hack into the live feed of the show,
Yeah.
and then he gets away. And
yes.
so
Doesn't he blow something up too?
I don't think
Isn't he strapped with bombs?
no, I don't think they're bombs. I think he just hacks in.
Okay.
He just disrupts the show or whatever,
Gotcha.
and puts his logo up there, and is like, "We are the new revolutionaries, down with the whatever."
Down with Whitey.
Yeah, down with white.
But she's actually black. So
And
it doesn't
so,
make sense.
anyway, so then she ends up deciding to go out that night to the club.
Yes.
And she just happens to run into the guy that hacked the thing,
Yes.
and they hook up.
Of course they do.
Yeah, of course they do.
And so the guy that's watching her sees that she hooks up with that guy,
Uh-huh.
and then so he's the next. So then they show up the next day to work, and they blast his face on there. And, they go, and it's her and number one, and they're like, okay, this is the guy you have to hunt down. And it's the guy that she just hooked up with, which is the bad guy.
That's not that great of a twist, to be honest.
Well, no, but I mean, I saw it like a million miles away.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, oh, she just hooked up with this guy in the club. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the next target. Watch.
Hell, I hooked up with a cop. Fuck my life.
And so, I mean, I think that's how the book ended.
Says, right?
Huh?
But
that's what she does.
That's what she says.
The guy's dad was like, there was something about him too. I don't remember because they're sitting there eating breakfast or whatever, and he looks up and sees himself on the TV that he's like wanted or whatever.
Yeah. So this was a cool book.
Yeah, I liked it.
I love Tradmore's art, but he didn't get to do a lot of action in this, and I generally like his action stuff.
The colors were like crazy.
That is very true.
It was very colorful. It was very crazy.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I just remember like Luther Strode, how he had some really great action scenes. So I'm sure this will build into that, but you know, it's all good. He did a lot of cool design work on this too, designing like New California.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
here's
it's
like how it looks. It's cool. No, it's very well done book.
It's a good book.
It is. I think it's only going to be, I don't know. I think my Image Superman is only
5 or
like
6.
6 issues or something.
I think it's a limited series.
So I don't know if it's going to keep going or not. But yeah, super solid, super good. It's nice to have Tradmore back drawing a book. I guess I wondered where he went. I guess he was drawing this issue
for a year. Yeah, no kidding.
Apparently.
Yeah, no. I obviously art takes a long time to create.
Oh yeah, totally.
I don't see a year. That's crazy.
Take your time. You got to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, Felix art is also the rep for
everybody.
Aaron Conley.
Yes. And Nick Pitar, which we'll talk about Leviathan. Scott might like this book. It's kind of light. What do you think of Leviathan?
What are you saying? I like only light stuff here?
No, I'm just
I liked it. It was good.
There wasn't much to it, though. Do you feel
No.
like it was kind of like a little bit of flash in the pan? I mean, there just wasn't much substance there yet. I think they're getting there.
Well, you're really selling this to me. Scott might like this. It's just a flash in the pan. Real...
It's a popcorn summer movie.
It's a popcorn flick.
The art's really good.
Yeah, the art is Nick Pitar.
The art looks freaking fantastic.
He's trying to do a lot of extra hyper
Holy
detail.
cow!
It's like it's like Jeff Darrow.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's trying to summon Jeff Darrow a little
Is
bit.
he?
He said that a few
Oh,
times.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Nailed that.
That
yeah,
is fantastic.
exactly.
That was disturbing, though. I could have done without that.
Which part? Oh yeah, that was not necessarily necessary. But some people like Donald Trump.
I just need to see a naked Donald Trump.
You don't?
Okay.
It's not on your
What?
bucket list?
I don't know. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it is
Do
what
that.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that?
I don't really
that
see
right there?
anything there. I don't know.
Alright, so I don't remember a whole lot about this book. So.
I remember more about this book than
Oh,
you.
yeah. Okay,
So basically, there's this guy, and he's got his girlfriend, he's having a party, and somebody invited these weird goth people.
Yeah.
Well, he runs out of beer, so he has to go on a beer run.
Right.
So while he's going on the beer run, this goth guy summons a beast to, like, come and destroy the city. And so they summon this Leviathan, and it comes and starts killing everybody, destroying the building. And, of course, his girlfriend is, like, caught in the crossfire, blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. It's like a big giant.
Yeah, but the art's really cool. There's lots of
Dragon, kaiju.
Leviathan,
monster,
kaiju.
Whatever.
Done.
Like,
It's a little. It's kind of lighthearted. There's kind of a. I mean, it's obviously people are dying and stuff, but it's done in sort of a humorous, not taking itself too seriously type of way.
And it's written by John Layman.
John Layman, who did Chew.
The guy that did Chew.
So yeah, it's fun.
So it's
there.
got a bit of a, yeah.
And Pitar, he's the guy who did Manhattan Project, was the artist on that.
Ah.
But he's.
Boy, it looks like he really, though.
He's changed his style.
I was going to say, change some things up there,
It's still
though.
kind of cartoony, but he's tried to make it a little more kind of hyper detailed or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Huh.
I'll be interested to see where it goes. Like I say, and the first issue was all set up, I guess you pretty much say. But
Yeah, I mean, how many issues is it going to take for them to
I think
call
this
in
is
the
only
military and
5
kill
or
the
6
big
issues
giant monster?
as well. But yeah,
Hmm.
you would think. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
I read Farmhand.
Oh,
Number
Scott read
one.
that, right?
Farmhand,
I don't remember that much about it. It was good.
What?
We talked
Well, I
about it a
mean,
few
I
times.
remember the guy, like, so, like, there's a
Growing
the
organs
son, yeah.
in his
Well, his son
farm.
and his wife, like, come back to town or whatever, and he comes back to the farm, and now it's this big, giant corporation. They're
That's
giving like,
right.
tours and stuff, and they got these domes and, like, no cameras and all this other stuff. So he remembered, like, a regular old farm, and he comes back, and it's just like a... But, yeah, they're growing arm. But I don't remember. You guys were talking, there was, like, something sinister going on. I didn't catch that vibe, or I don't remember catching that vibe.
Well, they
There
some
was a
some company or
scene.
something happens in which they send like a secret agent into the facility,
Yeah.
and that's missing like his own arm or something to this fact,
that's
and
right.
he's
See, this
trying to
scene.
take some stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, "Who's your employer?"
It's like
That's
Willy
right.
Wonka.
And they're kind of like,
You know, something to that effect. I could see that.
yeah.
And then he ends up putting his own, farmy technology on him.
Gotcha.
yeah. There's some
Okay.
kind of,
It's
And
like the Willy Wonka with the everlasting Godstopper.
it pretty much is. It's exactly the same. Farmhand is just like Willy Wonka.
it could be. You never
I agree.
know.
I
There's definitely
read
something odd there going on.
Descender number 32,
Is that the last issue?
last issue.
Are they starting to back up?
Ascender is starting back up.
Ascender?
Ascender, because
Oh.
this is Descender. So the premise of Descender is basically it starts out that it's like a futuristic society and they have all these robots and these huge like robots appear and they try and fight them and the huge robots cause all this. I think they cause this big uprising and so like the whole populace of the universe turns against robots and they start destroying all the robots and like treating them bad and beating them up and tearing them apart and there's this big like backlash against robots. Well, the whole premise of this book is they're trying to bring the robots. Well, basically, these guys, these big, huge robot being guys, are like basically sort of like God, like the people who created everything. Anyway, they don't like how humans are treating robots, so the end of this series is basically they come back and they basically take all the robots away. So mankind is basically left without any kind of machines.
So it's like Planet of the Apes.
Kind of. And so at the end, basically all technology has been demolished for the most part. And so we've gone back to almost like a medieval type thing. So Ascender is like what happens after this. And now it's going to be like more of a fantasy book. There's going to be like magic and stuff. So
Really?
it's kind of interesting. They go from sci-fi
To more of a fantasy.
to fantasy because the robots came and took all the robots away. If that makes sense.
Battlestar Galactica.
Now they
But yeah.
have to make robots again.
It was good.
But they'll do it right this time.
Jeff Lemire talks a little bit. He has like a little essay in the back. He talks about Ascender, and that's like the promo for it or whatever. But it's interesting. He said like, yeah, initially he was going to end it a different way, and then as they were going, they got this idea to like turn it into Ascender. He's like, so now you'll never know how Ascender was supposed to end. I'm like, damn it, I want to know. Don't you want to know?
But yeah, I don't even read the book and I want to know.
See?
It's like
Anyway, it was good.
Maybe if you write him and tell him, maybe he'll put it in the hardcover.
This is one of those series where it's going to be enjoyable to go back and read the whole thing at once and see how it all works together.
I didn't find it enjoyable to read it
The first time?
the first time.
Well, that's a problem. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to the reread.
Gotcha.
Looking forward to the reread. Now that's all
You're a reread.
You're a loser. What did you read?
Nothing else that you read.
Scott
I read Gideon Falls.
Were you all caught up on Gideon Falls?
Nope.
It might be the last Face issue.
No, but spoil the crap out of it if you want to.
I guess that could be almost. Heck, it almost seems like it's almost over, doesn't it? No.
Does the priest walk into the black barn?
He
does get into the
appears
black
to,
barn.
yes. That's
It's
a
the
very.
red barn. Is it a
The
black
red barn,
barn or is it a
whatever.
red barn? It's a
I
black
thought
barn.
it was a black
Does the
barn.
character
You're
walk
right.
into the barn?
Yes.
Okay.
It
I
basically,
already had it spoiled.
yeah.
You did?
I read an article on.
I mean,
Bleeding
in
Cool.
this one, with it, the what would you say, the guy who's out there collecting trash, he's getting closer with his psychiatrist and working towards this whole black barn type of theory, and she's kind of believing him.
She's
but
on board now.
Yeah,
he
she's definitely-
He turned the psychiatrist into a crazy like him.
yeah, and
pretty
she
impressive.
hypnotizes him to try to find out a little bit more of what he knew from his youth, since he had seen this black barn, you know, and everything. Now, meanwhile, you have the crazy doctor who we met like an issue or two before, you know, who's been looking for this black barn forever.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
It's a whole group
exactly. You have the police chief and you have the priest. Well, the priest and the police, I say police chief, I don't know what she is.
I think
She's a policeman.
she's
Yeah,
like the police chief.
whatever it is. They go to try to get this one guy who was crazy, you know, or whatever, and murdered somebody, and they get into a little scuffle there. He escapes, but on his way out, he stabs the priest, okay? But just like through the hand. And he runs off and he kills some lady, you know, that's outside there. And
He's a crazy person.
yeah, he's crazy.
He really is crazy.
And he runs off into the freaking field, and they're like trying to chase him, and they come up to something in which like all the freaking crops were flattened in this nice big rectangle, like the shape of where a barn would be. Yes. And so, meanwhile, since the priest is still bleeding out of his hand, they take him back to the crazy doc. You come to find out the crazy doc is actually the father of the police chief lady. And she's all mad at him because of the fact that she had a brother, he had a son that disappeared, you know, and he still believes that the black barn was the reason for the disappearance. And she's like,
just
quit
like
that.
that other book that we read, where the kid got kidnapped and they think the dad.
Birthright?
Yeah, it's just like Birthright.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
It's
A little bit
exactly
different.
like Birthright.
But anyway, so really where this one ends is the fact that she's leaving. Crazy dude appears to have like gotten into a scuffle with the police lady there, and you hear a gunshot go off, and the priest is going, "Oh no!" and he's running after her, and I think at the end you see that she's being carried by what I'm appearing as the crazy guy walking into the black barn, and the priest is running after him. So.
Gotcha.
So it makes it seem like the next issue could be really huge, but
Do you have your
it'll probably
previews?
be just
I think I do.
more stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
Sounds
fine.
good. I was trying to half listen
And I probably told you too much. I don't
You're
care.
gonna
I just
like
basically.
Getting Falls when you actually read it.
Yeah, I know. I read like the first 2 or 3.
Yeah, keep going.
I know.
All right.
I just got back.
Are you ready to do one, or you want me to go?
You go ahead and go, because
Alright.
I only have 2 more things.
Did you read
to talk
Savage Dragon?
about. No.
Savage Dragon,
Don't spoil that.
236. What's Savage Dragon?
236.
So this one has the 3 kids go on a adventure. He does like a Calvin and Hobbes, like Sunday strip, like sort of homage. So you got like the kids doing like a Calvin and Hobbes thing, and then while the rest of the issue is going on, finally everybody came back from Dimension X. So everybody's back home, but he intersperses it like he has like a double-page spread of like Calvin and Hobbes, which is like a Sunday funnies or whatever, and then he goes back to the regular issue, and then he does 2 issues of the Calvin and Hobbes kids. So while everything else, so basically the rest of the issue is them looking for the kids, and the kids are off in this other dimension getting into like an adventure. But it's very light, very funny, kind of hilarious. Maxine's getting a little old. She looks really weird because she has like braces and she has no hair, and then she's a sex crazed addict or whatever. And so I don't know. It's getting kind of old, but whatever. He's been playing this up for a while, so eventually I'm sure he'll get tired of it. But we're stuck with it for now. But yeah, it was a pretty fun issue. Like I said, really light. And then at the end of the issue, of course, the kids come back from the dimension and they're laying in their bed and they were looking for them the whole time, but they were just in their room. But they really weren't there in another dimension, but they don't realize that. So, like I said, it's kind of like a throwback, kind of silly Sunday funnies type of thing. But yeah, It works fine. It's good. I actually enjoyed it. I would love to see more of the kids going on these adventures. And I thought the style that he used and kind of the format.
You could do 2 books.
Yeah, like the format of like the Sunday Funnies. I loved Calvin and Hobbes when it was being published, and so I mean I think that's kind of a cool little, homage. I think it's kind of cool. I could see him doing a whole book of that. I'm sure he won't. I think he'd probably get old pretty fast, but I don't know. It was a fun little diversion. I enjoyed it. I like Savage Dragon. He always is doing fun, interesting things with the format, and kind of mixing it up a little bit. So.
I did my order today, so I was going through the previews. Like, haven't we seen the Infinite Dark #1? Did you order that from Image? Did you read the solicit?
I have not ordered it. I thought about it. It looks kind of cool. But why are you making that face?
Because it says the universe ended, but on board the Void Station Orpheus, the skeleton crew of humanity survived. The last 2,000 souls, waiting for a second Big Bang that may never come. Now, 2 years into their voyage, Security Director Diva Carroll investigates the station's first murder
It sounds kind of like a blend
and
of
otherworldly motives behind it. Doesn't it sound like every other thing that's ever been done?
Kind of. It doesn't sound super original, but
No.
I love that cover though. It's very striking. I think it's a really cool cover.
I didn't even look at the cover.
Kind of made me want to buy the book just for the
Well,
cover.
then you should buy it. Just.
But yeah, I'm kind of on the fence of that one. I kind of felt the same thing. It's
I
like
didn't buy it.
I just like the.
It's not a good
I
cover.
think it's just cool. It's like
Well, you should buy it, rip off the cover, frame it, and hang it on your wall.
I'm not doing a very good job with previous because it's kind of unwieldy.
It's
But
a
yeah.
little large and
If it had creators on it that I knew, I might
Andrew
be more.
Moody.
I've never heard of it either. Well, I know Ryan Cady sounds familiar.
Hmm.
I thought about this Aaron
I
voice.
thought about it too,
but I don't- And I
did
thought about
buy
Dead
that.
Rabbit.
I bought that. That's all. That's got John McCrae on it
But it's
and
just
Gary Duggan.
Yeah, but it's just another like gangster movie.
Yeah, but-
or not movie, gangster.
I could watch.
comic,
I could read 100 gangster comics.
but not 100 sci-fi space.
or look at the
murder.
cool
Murder.
pictures from a
Uh,
gangster comic.
But that's a very striking image there in the gangster comic. That would almost make me want to buy it. That's cool. It's a cool page.
I would agree.
But anyway, yeah, I'm
John
on the
McCrae.
fence of all those. I think the only one I'm definitely ordering is Murder Falcon.
and I'm not that excited about the premise of the book. I'm
Murder
only buying
Falcon?
it because of
Daniel Warren
Daniel
Johnson.
Warren Johnson.
That's pretty much where I'm buying it to. The
So you
premise
better
doesn't
bring
look
it.
as good, but I think he'll bring it. He always does.
Well, I'm sure it will.
But yeah, I want Murder Falcon is a definite.
People are
the rest of my
doing books I
fence.
don't want.
Do you get that
Read.
like every other
And then-
week? It seems like you always have a previews.
Well, we always have a
He just always
previews.
carries it with
Is
him.
I
that
just
what it
can't
is?
read
You
It
it.
just
comes out
carry-
once a month.
That thing's freaking huge.
It
Well,
is
yeah.
huge. So I pulled the trigger, man. I
What'd you
dropped
do?
my DCBS.
What?
I'm gonna go with Hero Haven. They're doing 20% off.
Hero Haven, huh?
See how it goes. I'm mostly just ordering stuff for my kids through them because most of my image stuff comes through the online subscriptions. So we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. Fingers
Good luck.
crossed. It's been a long time since I went to an actual comic book store.
So you're ordering your
Not even
kids'
at a
comics
comic book store.
through
and
the
a
comic
few of
books?
mine
You're at a
through,
toy store.
through a local toy store that also sells comics. They do pull lists.
I know. I'm just
Ooh,
giving them a hard time.
IDW's new Star Wars 5-week event.
We'll see
Yeah,
how it
that
goes.
was too expensive for me.
Yeah, 5, and it's like a horror thing.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I would have tried it.
Okay, I don't understand,
I
Don.
would have tried it if it was like one issue, but I'm not buying 5 issues in the same month of a book
Not even know if it's
that I don't even know if it's any good.
Well, it's not that different from ordering 3 issues before you actually have read the first one.
Yeah, I know. You know, okay, this is sad.
This is sad.
So I was like, I was going through my comics, sorting them, the stuff that I have to read.
Uh-huh.
I haven't read a single issue of Lark's Killer yet.
The book is horrible.
Is it great?
Oh my
Because
God.
I just pre-ordered
It is
like
bad.
issue 13 or whatever, and
Of
I haven't
Lark's
read
Killer?
one. Yeah, whatever
It's
the
still
new one in
coming out.
there. Yeah, whatever the new solicit is in that previews, I just ordered it. I
That is
haven't read
the
an
worst
issue yet.
book ever.
So I have like 12 issues of the worst.
You have
comic
12
ever.
issues of that?
However many are out.
Hey, hey, look up, Scott, look up First Comics. Doesn't it come out through First Comics?
I think so.
I don't even know how to use this thing.
Never mind.
Here, let me-
We'll do it
Can
later.
I see it for just a second
Yes,
and then I'll
yeah,
give it right
sure,
back
you'll
to
zip
you?
right
Yeah, that
through.
book is horrible. Good luck with that.
Great.
I can't believe you ordered 12 issues of that. I know it's Bill Willingham, and it seems like it would be
Yeah.
good, but it's
What?
bad.
Bill Willingham? He's doing something?
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know what he
Weird
was
Devils
thinking.
do. Yeah. Number 11 is in this.
Oh, wow. Good luck with that.
Is in this. So I just ordered 11.
Yeah, I think I accidentally missed an issue. And
Is
then
there
I
an order to
realized,
this? How did
this
you
is
do that?
good, I'll just drop it.
Yeah. So the
The
first.
publishers are in alphabetical order except for the first, like, 50 pages, which has, like, the premier publishers.
So it's
Actually, probably the first 100
Image,
pages.
then Dark Horse, then like probably
Dynamite?
IDW,
Yeah, Dynamite isn't a
Boom.
premiere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
They're not in the front of the
I think
previews.
they are.
Really? They got moved to the front
I think
since
so.
I don't
DC
know.
and Marvel left?
Maybe not.
I don't think so. I don't even know.
Boom, Image, Dark Horse, and then after that it goes alphabetical by publisher.
I think it's your turn to talk about some crappy Batman book.
this,
This is apparently in this note.
this is 12
Batman?
issues.
It's Batman.
This is what we call a maxi series. So there's a 12 issue series. It's called Bane Conquest.
Bane Conquest.
And the cool thing about Bane Conquest is the writer is Chuck Dixon and the artist is it Graham Nolan? I think it's Graham Nolan. But anyway, they are
Is this what comes after He got married? Batman got married?
It's Graham. No.
Oh, okay.
This has been going on for a year.
Oh,
monthly.
okay.
I waited for all the issues to come out and then read it like a trade paperback, like I always do. So the first issue, well, yeah, it was coming out. Yeah, I guess it was. I mean, technically, yes, but it's not tied into that at all. This is basically a Bane story. Yeah, the first issue came out in July of 2017. So I've been sitting on this for a year. But anyway, the interesting part of that reason I like Bane, but it's a 12-issue series, and it's by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan, who are the original creators of Bane. So I thought, who better to write and draw a story about Bane than the creators of Bane?
Yeah.
But
not so much.
No, it's good. I liked it.
Is it really good?
It's not really good, but it's good.
I find it ironic that you're just complaining about some Image book being just like every other Image book, and yet you just bought a 12-issue Bane series.
Yeah, but this is Bane. Okay, so it's
Bane Conquest.
Bane Conquest.
It's basically
it's got to be good.
Broken up into
Conquest
arcs. Like 3 or 4. Like okay, so like the first 2 issues are Bane and Batman, and then the next 2 issues are like Bane and Catwoman, and then. Like with the 4th or the 5th issue, they start in with Cobra with a K. You know. Cobra.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Well,
I thought you were talking about the G.I. Joe bad guys.
No, it's it's an organization. It's
I've heard of
that.
that.
Oh, see,
there's a King Cobra, isn't there?
Probably, yeah.
I think he was in the Who's
So
Who.
basically, Bane wants to rule everything. Like Bane wants.
Well,
to
it is called Bane Conquest.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
He wants to be the ruler of everything, and so he decides that he needs to take out Cobra. And so Cobra...
That makes sense, because they rule everything.
Makes me laugh every time.
The reason Cobra is...
Does he come across Cobra Commander?
I know, that's what I keep seeing.
No, it's actually called the Naja, I think. Naja is like the leader of Cobra. And they believe that like whenever the leader of Cobra dies, he's instantly reincarnated into a child that is born at that moment.
Wow.
So then they have to find...
Does Bane become a baby? This is going to be awesome.
No, that would be awesome. That would be more
Baby
like a
Bane.
Lobo. That would be more like a Lobo story, though, I think, than like a Bane story. But anyway.
Oh, Baby Bane.
So they don't end up killing him. They end up trying. Yeah. They end up trying to kill the Cobra guy, and then they're gonna find the baby so that they can kidnap the baby, and so that they'll have the Naja, so that Cobra will tear itself apart from the inside.
You just said Naja twice.
Yeah. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope that's the
I'm
right
sure
term.
that's totally right.
I think I remember that. But anyway, so then the baby gets away, or I think Batman, somebody comes and kidnaps the baby before Bane can, and then so it's our quest to find the baby. And then, of course, at the end, Batman ends up saving the baby.
Yay!
Takes him to an orphanage or whatever. And the baby is supposed to be born with like a snake tattoo on the back, almost like a birthmark. And so Batman had the birthmark removed so that it could never be traced that was the real baby, Naja. And so Bane is still on his conquest. He didn't.
So is this thing over?
Yeah,
or it's still
12
going?
issues.
Oh.
I saved them all up and read them all at once.
I'm a little concerned that you're reading Bane Conquest when you have all these issues of Lark's Killer that you could be reading.
I know, right?
I mean, what are the odds?
Well, I was saving them up so I could read them all at once, and
That
the
paid off.
last one came out, so I read them. I'm doing the same thing with Mr. Miracle. I've been buying Mr. Miracle.
That book's actually supposed to be good, though.
Yeah, I know.
Are you like a total DC bitch now because you bought like Bane Conquest, you bought Man of Steel,
No.
Action Comics?
This is
1001?
over, and I'm done with this.
Well, that's over too.
Well, no, but I
It was
mean...
a 6-week.
Well, yeah, but I was going to continue on with
But you're
Action
not.
and
Ben just did
Superman?
not sell you on Superman?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Alright, we'll get to that.
I was mostly
Figure
disappointed.
out. Oh, I gotta. You guys are always giving me a hard time about.
I was more than mostly disappointed.
Of stuff. I'm only talking about first issues. I'm going to talk about a couple last issues.
Oh my God.
Oh my god, I'm buying that and not reading it. Don't spoil it.
And this is the last
Are you?
issue of
I
it?
did buy it.
You have, yeah,
but
this
I
is the
haven't
last
read any
issue.
of it.
Ballad of Sang's been pretty good.
But you
It's-
should go ahead and talk about whatever you want.
I will talk
I
about
won't
the
remember.
ending.
I won't remember it by the time I get to
That's
But,
probably true.
This has been a pretty decent series. I think I talked about this series previously on the podcast. And my main beef with it is it's just not very original. Like it's kind of like your classic revenge story about this kid, and he's like an assassin. He's brought up by this old man. The old man gets killed, so he goes on a revenge kick
Dun,
to
dun,
to kill the people who killed the old man who was raising him. There's a little bit of twist with that whole scenario at the end. It's not that great of a twist, and it doesn't really matter in the greater scheme of things, but this book is very violent. It's just basically like a John Wick with a little kid who's a ninja with swords and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds
type
pretty
of
cool.
thing. So I mean the tropes are all there and it's pretty obvious, but I mean for just a fun kind of action comic,
it
it's
sounds
kind
like
of
the
cool.
Badlands, the
What's
TV
the
show.
Badlands? I've never seen it, but it might be just
That's
like
that
that.
show I've been telling you guys to watch because it kicks ass.
Badlands? What channel is that on?
Or is it the Badlands?
I don't know. You're
Mhm.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
AMC.
Into the Badlands.
Do you
Into
just
the
watch
Badlands.
shows on AMC?
I
Hey,
think so.
Barbara's watching. Hi, Barbara.
Yes, I only watch shows on AMC.
Did you see your wife is watching?
Hello, Barbara. No, I did not.
Okay. Anyway, so that's Ballad of Saying. That ended, and I think I'm okay with that.
And you thought the ending was okay?
Yes.
One less book you have to buy.
One less
I guess
book
that's
have to
true.
buy.
You can talk the crap out of Hillbilly because I cared.
Hillbilly. This book actually
Even less
ended
than
pretty
that.
good.
I think I bought
I
them.
remember you
kinda
talking about
finished.
this one. The art is cool.
The art
No,
is Eric Powell,
Exactly.
and the art's super cool.
God. Good.
I will
There you
say,
go.
I will say,
Bam.
I'm getting
I,
better.
I feel like he phoned in
Some
a little
days.
bit on the last issue. Like he was kind of rushed. Like, look at this; these pages don't look quite finished. Right?
They
Is it
are
just me?
finished because they're published.
Yeah,
Are
it's
published.
true.
I just don't know if they're quite finished.
He was done with them.
They're
They were
kind of
finished.
sketchy. I think he's like, man, drawing this book is really becoming a grind. I just need to get this thing done. So I think that's kind of what he did. But the story actually kind of came to a head, and it kind of finished strong, and I felt like it all kind of came together. Because before, you've been reading some of it, right?
Yeah.
The stories felt very kind of, not episodic. They felt very one and done, like they didn't really tie much into a larger narrative. Well, he finally kind of pulls it all together at the end, and there's kind of like a big battle, and it kind of all comes together. Which was a little more satisfying than they have been, so that's kind of cool.
Isn't that book coming back though?
This book is coming back, and I did order it. It's coming back as a limited series with a different artist that he's just writing.
Right.
And so
Really?
the whole idea of the hillbilly, he's this guy who kind of wanders the hills, and he's got like in Cleaver, and he's got like a backstory, and it just kind of tells little stories
It's a
about
magical
his
cleaver, isn't it?
adventure. I
Or
don't
cursed
know.
cleaver.
It's cursed, magical. I don't know. To be honest, I'm
Finding
not
lots of good stuff in
sure
there.
about. But the art's really cool, except
If
for
you-
it seemed like you kind of
It's like
phoned it in.
Rainbow Bright, Lone Ranger, and
Can you focus, Don?
Xena.
I'm trying
I
to
should
talk
just
here.
close this.
Vampirella.
It's very
Golly.
distracting to
Battlestar
Don.
I guess it
Galactica.
is.
I also
Dang,
finished.
You're in the right part of the.
I'm not gonna
book
talk
right
about
there.
that.
Oh, come on, talk about Lucy Dreaming.
No, I'm not gonna talk about that one. All right, so
Army
I'm
of
done.
Darkness. There you go.
But I did have a couple other series that ended. Highest House
You want
ended.
the Art of Tekken?
Hey, I seen that in this cool.
Highest House ended.
Previews.
Paperback.
Lucy Dreaming
or
ended.
collection.
I
What?
finished that.
Lucy Dreaming?
Yep.
Yeah, I know, it's over.
Oh my gosh.
Over.
You
I
should
know.
talk about the end of that book.
That looks like
Is that
a.
satisfying?
Moonshine ended an arc. Are you reading this book?
I'm buying it.
Dude, I have no idea what's going on in this book. There's werewolves, there's 30s gangsters, and that's about all I can tell you.
It's 30 Gangsters Werewolves.
30s gangsters and werewolves. Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
I don't know
And
what's
it's
going
drawn
on.
by Eduardo Risso.
The art is awesome. I just need to read it all and get the story straight.
Who's
Although I buy a lot of comics in single issues, I really enjoy reading stuff in trade better.
who's the?
At least I get a chunk and I can kind of run the thread together a little better.
I like buying books in single issues and saving them up and reading 10 or 12 of them at a time.
Hey,
so I
that
get a
works
full
too.
story.
I just don't have that kind of self-control. Like I get the book, I gotta read it right then.
You know,
So I read it.
I'm
So then I
so-
go back and read it again.
I'm so disappointed that you said Charlie's Angels was so poor. I mean,
You-
look
I
at this.
didn't-
John Layman.
You like Charlie's Angels?
No, I haven't
Oh.
read it, but I
It
mean, I
wasn't-
just look at who the writer is and the artist is, and I think, God, it should be
It-
great.
It wasn't poorly. It was done well. It's just not.
Just hard to do
It's not what
a
I wanted
reboot
to
of
read.
Charlie's Angels. Huh?
If you're a big Charlie's Angels fan, though, you would enjoy it.
I think it's Scott's turn to do something.
Really?
Do Screamland.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
He didn't like Scream.
Oh, you didn't like it? Well, it'll be
That's
quick.
too bad.
It would probably be quick. I don't know. Screamland. Okay, here's the problem probably with Screamland.
Did I build up too much?
No, I don't think he built it up at all. That I can remember. Maybe I totally forgot it. I don't know.
No, I didn't try.
Those
This
type-
This
that
the
type
one where
things.
they... Oh,
This
that's-
is
It's like a horror convention.
it's a horror.
Yeah.
It's basically It's a
guy like in a pool of cocaine or something.
It's a convention, type of thing, like a Comic-Con or whatever else. But it's the horror type of ones, and HorrorCon, whatever. I mean,
HorrorCon.
they have the things.
They have those now.
That's exactly right.
Crypticon in Kansas City.
There you go. I knew there was one. I just couldn't
Zombie
remember what it was
walks.
called. But in the case of Screamland,
Watchstalker.
it takes the idea that the monsters are actually real people that just, got work in Hollywood. They had been out terrorizing people for hundreds of years and whatnot. And then when Hollywood was looking for monster movies or looking for new ideas, hey, they got there and they could make these monster movies. And they've got to make millions, and stuff, especially during the 70s when sex, drugs, and rock and roll were all big. And now they're these washed up, people because everybody likes digital effects and all those other type of things, and they don't need the real monsters anymore.
Oh, that's
So,
very sad.
now they're at these, conventions where they're sitting there signing things for $20 here and there while they're still trying to make enough money to pay for their alcohol because they're drunks or whatever else. Yeah, in this case, you have the Invisible Man who's like trying to make himself relevant again and whatnot and saying, I got some type of video that's hidden and hasn't ever been seen in 30 years and it's gotta be the scariest thing you've ever seen. Come back here, at the end of the night to see it. And then somebody appears to kill the Invisible Man because there's like blood and things over there, but he's the Invisible Man, so there's no body. So, it becomes this murder mystery. Who killed the Invisible Man? And so you have the Wolf
what
Man.
was on the tape.
That's
because
right.
Everybody had a motive of what could have been on the
that's
tape.
very true
that
too.
They wanted to kill him.
Yep. And so then you have the Wolf Man and his best friend who seemed to be this washed up, ex-sci-fi dude going around trying to find out, investigate and see who the killer is. Yeah. And, you find out and everything, and you find interesting, characters throughout there. I thought in particular the slime was pretty funny. The Blob,
Right.
He's pretty much there to take over the world, but he acts like a total idiot, type thing, so people won't take him seriously. So that one was pretty funny. And you got the jar, the brain in the jar, the classic brain in the jar, which turns out the brain is from a dolphin. It's kind of unique. I don't know. I think there was two things here, though, where maybe I was reading a book that I maybe wasn't in the mood for something as lighthearted as it was, thinking, thought, oh, Screamland, oh, what is this? Because I didn't really know, type stuff.
It totally
Plus,
see a cold turkey.
Plus, it's one of those things in which it's very wordy. It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is.
And I think I started reading it too late. I was thinking, hey, this isn't too long, and I could probably fit in, a nice little hour here, or something. Well, I think it took me a little bit longer than that because it does seem to be rather wordy in there, and stuff, and flipping through and things. So it was one of those ones which is like, I gotta get to the end of it. I wanted to get to the end, type things, but it was later than I should have been. So. It seemed to be almost a bit of a force, type thing, where it wasn't,
You were enjoying it.
That's right. Something like this where it's supposed to be very lighthearted, and trying to take a, what are you saying, a little twist of the normal type stuff should be into a, I shouldn't be thinking I got to get through this, type of scenario. Yeah. So I don't really. I guess what I'm saying is just because I didn't care all that much for it didn't make this a bad book whatsoever. Right. It was definitely an interesting idea, very unique. The art is solid. Mm-hmm. I think there's some decent characterization, and everything else in there. Part of the problem may have been there too that there's not a character to really root for.
That's true.
Because they're all got their damn problems, and hell, freaking killing people and whatever the hell else. So you don't really care about what really happens to any of them. You think the whole freaking shitload of them should die. But then again, they're a bunch of monsters, so should you really care about them anyway? So it's enjoyable for what it is. I think I just read it in the wrong, frame of mind there and stuff, like I said.
Gotcha.
Cool. Screamland. Well, sorry about that.
No, like I said, I just got it at the wrong time.
Whose turn? I think it's Don's turn. Do some Man of Steel.
One more thing.
Oh, it's all together? I'll do a couple.
It is. It's just one long thing.
I read Southern Bastards.
Oh,
Volume
damn.
4. I won't spoil anything, but I would like to
Yeah,
talk
'cause
a
I'm not
little
caught
bit.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to give this to Scott to read right after this.
I'm not
so
caught
I'm
up.
not going to give too much away. But yeah, this takes some interesting turns.
Does it?
Coach, I don't know if you remember the last one, but Coach's defensive coordinator died or shot himself.
I do
You
remember that. And he was trying to do the plays then at some big ass game or something, I think.
Yeah, apparently his football genius came from his defensive coordinator, and he's not doing a very good job of
Yeah, imagine
filling in the blanks.
that. Yeah. Well,
So,
and then he hired that Nimrod to
Yeah.
actually be defensive coordinator. He had no idea.
he
what
does
was
have some Nimrods working for him. But yeah, so this is really follows that story further down the road, how Coach is not having a good season so far. And there's a lot. You get to see some of the, I guess, you think like, how Coach is the football coach, and yet he also runs all the underbelly of the town, like all the crime and everything. He's like the crime lord, mafia guy.
Oh, yeah,
of the
yeah.
town. Well, it turns out that some of the other towns that have football teams, the coaches of those teams are also running the underbelly of
underground.
those towns too.
Imagine
And
that.
so it becomes kind of an interesting sort of, not only are their football teams competing, but they're also like competing mafia bosses in a way too. And you kind of get to see a little bit of that world. So yeah, it's good. And then of course,
that is kind of funny.
they what's the guy's name? With the bat or
I
the
know.
stick?
I figured that's where
Anyway.
you're going. His daughter.
Anyway, his daughter comes into it as too, and she kind of shows back up, and you get some of that too. So yeah, no, it ties a lot of stuff together. You get to see the characters kind of develop a bit. I know at one point we thought Coach was kind of a sympathetic character in a way.
Yeah.
I think this one takes him back to the other way. He's not
Yeah,
quite as
total
sympathetic
ass.
as much. You don't have much respect for him. At least I didn't by the end of this arc.
Oh, really?
You didn't really feel sorry for him. You didn't really have much sympathy for him anymore. But it's been a while since I read the book that gave me sympathy, so maybe I've just forgotten some of it. But anyway, it's a good read. It's very solid. Keeps up the Southern Bastards.
So it really hasn't ended though yet either.
No, this is not the end. It's still
Okay.
going. So we got more to go, I think.
Okay.
So this book comes out very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I think one of the issues Jason Latour wrote and somebody else drew, and the rest of the books Jason Aaron wrote, and Jason Latour drew. So they let him write an issue, and then there's like a sort of a middle issue in here where Jason Latour is the writer and Chris Brunner is the artist. I'm trying to remember what that
I
story
remember
was
that.
about. But
I think I have like a couple issues that I haven't read. Like
Yeah.
a couple of last issues that I
But-
haven't read.
I don't know, man. This book is good. There's some hard cases in this book, man. Like the football players, the coaches, everybody's kind of a tough bastard. So
Yeah.
it's good. I like it a lot. It's very enjoyable. So anyway, you can have that one too.
Cool.
Hopefully I didn't spoil too much. I just kind
I don't think so.
of danced around it a
I'll
little
try to
bit.
get caught up on that for next time.
Ooh, good luck with that.
Alright, I think
can
I
do it.
only have like a couple more, so you guys can
Keep
probably.
going. Well, here, I'll do this one then real quick. Interesting. Okay. So, Screamland or whatever. I had that one, and like I said, the cover's intriguing, whatever else. I just kind of read it at the wrong time. This one, Surviving Megalopolis.
Surviving
Yeah. I don't know. This one probably was one in which it was like, I don't know how. I read the first one, Surviving, and it was a nice.
Leaving.
Or Leaving, yeah, and this one's Surviving. But anyway, Leaving, and I read it, and I thought it was good, and it really kind of was a nice self-contained story. So I wasn't real excited, I guess, to get into this one, type stuff, because I thought the other one
worked just
fine as it was.
Didn't really need anything else.
type things. Yeah, exactly right. And I think I had flipped through this, and I thought, wow, well, I don't know, this looks like it's all freaking confusing and whatnot. So then I picked this thing up finally, and I started reading through it, and I loved it. It's really
solid.
It
right?
is. It's freaking incredible. The art is amazing in it. I mean, some of the stuff that happens in it is just fantastic. I really enjoyed it a whole lot more than I thought I would. So this is one where my expectations were probably really low or whatever else. I don't know why it was, but it just seemed like I said, there was no reason for me to revisit what they had in that one, at least from the same character type perspectives, and things. And yet they came back here. They You know, I thought that they did a little bit of a cop out, you know, with their cop or whatever, you know, chick, you know, that survived a fall from a bridge, you know, type things, and somehow still pregnant to boot. But anyway, they still got that character in there, you know, but then they introduce a couple of the other superhero type things, and the freaking, what is her, Southern Belle? She is just a freaking maniac, freaking in this thing, and has a nice little showdown with the main superhero, their big Superman character type thing. So the art, the fights is good. You know, bringing in some of the other characters, it's really world building even more in this one.
Yeah,
in some
are they gonna do
cases.
another one? You think?
You know, where the other one was nice little self-contained type thing.
Well,
This thing was like planting little seeds, you know,
Yeah,
like
they
almost
can
like a
keep
Jurassic
going.
Park or something, going, yeah, there's bigger all the way. We can do all sorts of cool sequels, you know, type things now. And so,
It probably depends on how well that sold.
Is California doing anything else right now?
I'm sure he's doing something. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I don't know.
but overall, like I said, I really enjoyed it. It read fast as well. But it's a nice little world building one, I guess, off the previous one.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I think I remember having a very similar. Like, I liked the first one, but it was fine. I mean, it was done. And then the second one, it's like, well, I like those creators. I really like Jim California. And so I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. You know, I like the first one. But I didn't really feel the need for it. You know what I mean?
Right,
But then you
right.
read it, and you're like, this is really, really good. I mean, they're really doing some cool stuff with it.
It really
It's
is, yeah.
solid,
I would agree.
well done. So
I mean, with that whole, you know, superheroes that have gone dark, you know, and you see them and see how crazy they are, you know, between the Southern Belle and what that Flash guy and things. I mean, it actually builds up. I felt like they did a good job of building suspense with them. I mean, because they're freaking wacko, you know, and you think that they can really just tear these people apart at any time that they want, you know. And if you have any type of sympathy for the human characters, which with the second one you get to know most of those human characters, you know, civilians, whatever you want to call them, a little bit more in the first one. So, you know, it's kind of building that, you know, characterization, something, you know, that you can try to empathize with, and you just see how crazy that what they're having to go up against, and it kind of gives it a little bit of suspense there in it.
Is that the one where it's kind of almost like I'm comparing everything to everything now? The Purge, where it's
I was thinking more of Escape to New York.
Escape. So like, there's a group of humans and they're trying to get out of there.
that was the
But that was the first one. Was them trying to get out of there. This one was more I'm trying to keep getting away, and they pull me back in. You know, they decided to go back in. The humans that escaped the first one, they go back in because they were hired. This one guy's hired, got a bunch of money to go try to find some rich billionaire that's supposedly trapped in the city.
Okay.
And so they go back in there, and they're hoping maybe they can find their hero, you know, police officer that helped them last time, but it doesn't really work out quite like that. You know, different things happen. It turns out in this one that all the villains were, you know, in, say, like a Arkham Asylum type of thing. They were in some type of asylum type of scenario. That thing is pretty much open, but all the villains were just still hanging out there because they didn't want to go out there and try to deal with these crazy ass superheroes.
Gotcha. All right. Are you doing?
Yep, talking about Locke and Key, Volume 2,
Ooh.
Master Edition.
So you read the first one?
I read it a long time ago.
Oh.
You know,
And I finally got the second one, so I read the second one. I didn't reread the first one, though, so it took me a little while to catch up. But I think I caught most of it, because Joe Hill does a pretty good job of getting you up to speed pretty good. Like, at first, for a while, I didn't realize what was going on with its sister, and then he kept referencing the fact that she used, like, the head key and took out, like, her fear and her other things or whatever, you know, so I was like, okay.
They're still in a jar somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think that makes sense. So, but
They
yeah.
get out, don't they? Don't they?
I thought one drowned or something. I don't even remember too much now.
So this book is solid, super solid, very, very good.
Super.
It's an excellent book. But so in this book, you know, they have a
Is
couple
this go-
different stories going on.
How many are there? Are there 3?
I thought there was 3,
There's
right?
3 of these hardcovers.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this isn't the end.
This
All
is
right.
2.
This is 2
trades.
Yeah, 2 trades worth.
I think my biggest problem, Lock and Key is so good, and he does so good with the characters. The art is
that's
good.
the one where
Everything.
He does the splash
I
page.
think my problem is
That
the
was
fact
so
that
good.
it ends so it builds to a good climax, but it still just feels like it ends abruptly, didn't it? I don't know.
I don't know the ending yet.
Well, when you get there, but I mean,
Didn't I spoil the crap out of the ending for you?
You probably did. I probably did at some point in time because I read it too. But I just love the fact there's so much stuff there. There's so many keys and things, and he does such a good job ultimately explaining it all.
Mm-hmm.
I
think he ties it up really well.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I think he does. I think it maybe is because I enjoyed the ride so much that I didn't want it to end as quick as it did. You know, I mean, it really does come together, and you're just kind of like, wow, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I don't know what really much more he could have done, but it just seemed like it was just done so quickly.
I love that issue where it's all the splash pages. Does he get a key where he grows giant or something?
Yeah, so the first issue is the one guy gets the shadow key and the crown of shadows, and he brings all the shadows to life, and they're basically trying to kill all the kids, messing with them.
Is this the one where it's got like the one where they're finding the other keys, or they were talking about different keys? I don't know. It just seemed like, you know, he shows up with scratches, and there's like just a little, like, what would you want to call it? Montage, you know, where like one day they fight in the shadows. Okay, yeah. One day they're fighting in shadows. The next day they're doing something else, you know, and I thought that was great too because there's like no words on it. It's just like showing some other crap that happened today.
It's so good.
So the shadows are attacking them, and they're getting their butts kicked. And so the one older brother gets the giant key and becomes a giant. And he basically fights the shadow. And the whole issue, I think, is mostly splash pages a la Walter Simonson, Thor type of thing. But, yeah, it's really cool. It does really well with that. And then that story's kind of over. I think that's kind of the first trade. And then the second trade... You know, it's funny, the second trade, there isn't much of the mom in it. You know, she's kind of out of the picture for quite a bit.
Yeah, well, she's probably passed out.
They come across the animal key, and he does like a cool Calvin and Hobbes kind of
homage.
That
is, yes.
Where they get the animal key, and they have a little slight
little birds don't have
a whole Calvin and Hobbes just smorgasbord.
That one really is good, though.
And the one sister's really trying to find... This one has a lot of her trying to figure out the father and his connection with this girl who's in like a mental institution. And they haven't... I don't know if that was in the first one or what I'm missing there, but I don't quite understand what's going on there yet. And then they do the ones that Scott was talking about where it's like a month. It's like February, and each page, or not necessarily each page, but each page is like a different day of the month, and they kind of go through the whole month, and a lot of...
There you go. I think that was in it, though, where they, like, you're just... Each day is something new, kind of craziness going on or something.
But they've got a lot going on in that day, because a lot of... In that month, I'm sorry, because, like, all these relationships get destroyed between the kids. Like, the one guy, he likes this girl, and she basically... cheats on him, and so he's mad, and the other girl pisses off her two friends, and so they kind of are her three friends, and they abandon her, and then she gets back with Zach, who's actually the evil guy or whatever, you know. And so that all happens in like that month issue. So that's a cool way to have all these. It's really well done because, you know, he's trying to cover this big ground, but yet he does so much relationship and character, you know, development in that month, in the way he does it, and so it's really, really well done. And then they introduce the kid, which you kind of wonder why they're spending so much time with this kid who's actually the son of the mother who's Zach, who's the dark guy who's living with, and you're like, why are we spending all this time on him? But then towards the end, it all comes together because they have the storyline where the brother finally figures out who that guy is and confronts him, and they have this big showdown. And it leads to the big twist at the end of this book where the lady in the well or whatever you call her or whatever, you know, she actually takes over, spoiler alert, she takes over the body of the little boy now.
Yeah.
So at the end of this issue, it all comes to a head. They think they've killed Zach, but actually he's now inside the boy, and they don't know it. And so that's kind of where it's come to a head. What's the most amazing about this is, though, it's like, I don't know if Joe Hill's like a big comic book fan or something, but man, he does such a cool job of like trying to innovate within the comic book format. You know what I mean? Like he does that one with the month, and he does it like masterfully the way he handles it all. And then he does like the splash pages issue, and he does that really well.
The Calvin and Hobbes one.
He does the Calvin and Hobbes thing where he does. I mean, a lot of it credit goes to Gabriel Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
As well, because he's the artist, obviously. He's like mixing all these different styles, and it's just amazing in that manner as well. Like it's kind of like this book. I felt like they really kind of got into their groove, and they're starting to really kind of experiment a little bit, but it all just works
but
really
still
well.
keeps the story moving.
Keeps the story moving, and it's just really, really well done. And there's even a scene where he's got the girl like. One of the girls like turning around and like pointing her finger and saying Professor blah blah is whatever, and it's like a homage to like that old Kitty Pryde's how Professor Xavier's a jerk, you know what I mean? It's just like a real subtle thing that most people probably wouldn't even pick up on, but it was just like that was kind of awesome. So yeah, I mean, you expect writers who are primarily comic book writers to do more innovative stuff, but yet we've got Joe Hill, who's primarily a novel writer, but coming into the comic book field, and he's actually doing more innovative stuff than the people who actually write comic books every day. And maybe that's the difference, is like he doesn't do it a lot, so when he comes in and does it, he wants it to be something really amazing.
Or he doesn't know what the whole standard is. And
Yeah,
so he's
could
like,
be.
hey, let's
but I
do
mean,
some
like
of this.
he must be fairly well versed because of some of the references he makes and just some of the techniques he uses.
That could be true.
I mean, it seems like he really knows his crap. I don't know. It'd be interesting to pick his brain a little bit and see kind of where he's coming from. And then they have a cool thing in the back where they actually cover what all the different keys do and what they look like, and so that's really helpful. Because it's hard to keep track of all of them.
I would agree. Well, in the whole history of them in general, I think he kind of does some little reference there.
And I got a sketch from Gabriel Rodriguez in San Diego one year, you know, he just did a quick little sketch in my sketchbook or whatever. I swear it's the exact same creature that's up in this corner right here.
Huh.
It's very, very
Fear
similar.
itself?
Fear itself. So, that's pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, this book, you guys are right. It's pretty amazing. I'll be interested to see how it all wraps up in the end.
Really good.
But yeah, it's like the thing that, I mean, the story's really cool and the character development is really cool and he really draws you into that, but I just feel like he's really doing a great job just using the medium and innovating and just doing some interesting things. He's like, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do this one comic book, and since I'm probably not going to do a lot of comic books, I'm just going to throw every idea and every concept I've ever had into this, like, 30 issue series. Just everything in the kitchen sink,
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool. I like it. All right, I'm almost done. I got one more. That's not going to take long.
Spoil that already.
I just won't talk about it. It's fine. Nothing.
Is that the end?
I think this is the end. Yeah.
Okay.
The end.
All right. Well, I read
Man of Steel 1 through 6.
1 through 6, and then I also read Action Comics 1001.
This is Bendis' 6-issue Man of Steel introduction. So they basically treat him like John Byrne, where he gets a Man of Steel series to do.
Bendis is no John Byrne. Let's put it that way. Bendis is good. I like Bendis. I
love Bendis.
He has great dialogue.
All of his stuff that he did over at Marvel. I even like his powers and that murder states of whatever.
So what's
United
not
States
great
of
about
America.
his Superman run?
DC dropped the ball on the artists that he got. The art.
It's
is some of the
Yvonne
stuff.
Race.
Okay, the first issue's okay. The first issue's
Doc
good.
Shaner.
That one's not bad.
Ryan Sook is good.
Yeah.
Kevin McGuire.
The Maguire number 4
Hughes.
is some of the worst art I've ever seen in my life.
McGuire?
Okay, it's not the worst art. It's very simplistic. That book so pulled me out of the story. Like, he draws basic lines, and then the colorist is like filling in. Like, the colorist is
that's
doing
not
like,
good.
huh?
Yeah, that's not good when the colors fills in. Like, he's drawing, like, stuff on his fist like that isn't even there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, go to this page. Like, it so took me out of the story.
That's not good coloring.
No. Well, it's not. Yeah. Go to where Green Lantern. Like, go to the part where Green Lantern is. It's
This
not
one is the art.
good. Well, you can go back out while I'm talking, but I just want to show you specifics. Like, look. Like, he didn't draw any of this. This is all color.
How do you know he didn't
Like-
draw that?
There's no lines.
Yeah, but maybe he, like, penciled in and the colors went in and kind of almost inked it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I have to see the originals.
But it pulled me out of the book.
The coloring's not good.
Horribly pulled me out of it. Like, see all that? And, like, that?
McGuire must have done
almost-
some of that.
I don't know. But if you look at like the face, there's like lines and then
I understand.
everything's colored in.
It's not a coloring technique you prefer, apparently.
Anyway, that book pulled me completely out of it. Okay, so Bendis is doing what Bendis does. Like, he sets it up in the first issue. And so, like, it starts out, and it's Superman and Lois are married, and they have their son, John, right?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it happened in Rebirth. I talked about it
Oh damn.
when I did my other
Weren't you
Superman
paying
book
attention?
a
Yeah,
while
I
ago that you
should've
guys
been.
made fun of me the entire time that I talked about it for Superman.
Yeah,
DC?
because it was super bad.
I really wanted you guys to pull me in and I could buy like Superman
And like it.
and like it. And the art really just, this has been just coming to DC. Like, this is the hugest thing. Like, how can you not have like solid art on
Well,
every
Captain
6
McGuire is a
issues?
legend, and I know that Bendis likes him and likes to work with him because he had him do some stuff on the Marvel side.
That book was not good.
But
I don't know whose fault it was, but that book was not good. I did not like it at all.
well, I don't know if your theory is totally true.
The
because
Adam Hughes book,
when I
Adam
look at,
Hughes draws very simplistic too, and it looked like the coloring pulled a lot out of that too.
I don't know because I think McGuire must have done. I think some of that is like pencil and the colors. Like he inked part of it and then he penciled and then maybe the colorist colored some of the pencils. Because like right here, I mean, if all that McGuire did, the guy wouldn't even have a mouth.
No,
like-
he penciled the mouth. You can see the lines around the mouth, but there's
But not the
nothing
top
down
lip.
there. I know. That's what I'm saying.
I think, but this looks very McGuire-ish the way he did his
I don't know.
his
It's very off-putting.
chin there.
To me, it was very off-putting.
Okay.
I'm thinking you guys pulled this major coup. You pulled Bendis. I mean, you should have Jim Lee drawing this. You should have, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I
bring
think
out the
these
big
people are
freaking
good.
guns. I mean, you're.
Like, I mean, Adam Hughes is another one who's kind of a legend. I mean, people really, really like his stuff.
I understand, but it's almost like the McGuire thing.
Yeah.
Like the art, I did not enjoy the art in that book. I enjoyed some of it. Some of it looked not good.
It may not be your style.
Okay, like, look at this.
Yeah, it's Adam Hughes. I agree. Well, he doesn't do a lot
Is
of
this
interiors.
even drawn, or is this like the colorist going in and drawing that? Because it doesn't even look
don't
like
know.
pen or ink lines.
I don't know his technique.
Okay, so get past the artwork. The story's not bad,
Please.
but it's very Bendis. So like the first issue, like I said, it's those.
Adam
three.
Hughes did the colors in this book.
Okay.
So he did the.
Well, he colors horrible.
He colored his own stuff.
I don't know.
So he's basically penciling and then inking with colors is what
Yeah.
he's doing, and that clearly is not a technique that you enjoy,
I do not enjoy that.
and that's fine.
All right. Anyway, so Bendis sets up like the tagline in the first issue and sets up the mystery, and then you have to keep reading to find out like what happened because like there's something that happens. So all right,
Say
he
the
takes it
cheerleader
back.
saves the world.
He takes it back all the way to Krypton when Krypton is alive, and there are people on Krypton, and they introduce this brand new character, Retcon.
Redcon, really?
his name is
Shocker.
like Rogol Zol or something. He looks like a cross between like Taskmaster and Doomsday. Like he's this big, ugly, nasty-looking creature. Well, he hates Krypton. He hates Kryptonians. And so then Oa, the what are they called? The little dudes that run Oa, like the little blue dudes that run all the all the lanterns. Green Lanterns. Anyway, yeah, the Owens, whatever.
I don't know.
I think they banished this guy to like another realm or another planet or whatever. And he says that the Kryptonians are evil. They've destroyed their own world by tearing it down with the resources, and if they let the Kryptonians live, all they're going to do is they're going to spread out and they're going to keep killing other planets and they're going to destroy the universe, and they need to get rid of them now. And the Owens or whatever are like, no, you can't do that. And so, like, they banish him to this planet, and then all of a sudden, boom, Krypton blows up, and this guy isn't where he's supposed to be. And so, then you flash forward, and it's now, and it's, like I said, Superman, Lois Lane, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and their son, John. And at the end of the issue, like, you see his son say something about, "Hey, Dad, what's that?" And then it all goes white. And so then, like, they're not in the book anymore, and Clark is at the Daily Planet, but Lois Lane is gone, and she doesn't work there anymore, and every so often, he sees his son, and he says, "Dad, what was that?" And so, like, you know something happened, but he drags it out for, like, 3 or 4 issues until you finally figure out what the hell happened. You know what I mean? And basically, what happened was, Jor-El is alive, I guess, somehow. He comes, because I'm not caught up on Superman, so I don't know if that got retconned later, earlier, whatever. But however, so Jor-El comes to their house, and he's like, he sees John, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to take your kid, and I'm going to take him out into space, and I'm going to show him what's up." Like, he's going to go on a road trip with Grandpa into outer space.
Cool.
And Lois is like, "Hell no, you ain't taking my kid." And Superman's kind of caught in the middle. Well, then it all flips around, and it turns out that Lois is like, "Well," she's like, I made a 2-book deal. I'm working on 1. She's like, "I'll go with John, with your dad, into space, and that'll be my book. I'll write my book." And so basically, Lois Lane and John go with Jor-El off onto, like, the space adventure, and they leave Clark Kent on Earth to, like, be Superman.
And Superman's like, "Woohoo!"
Yeah, he's like, "Bachelor." But
right.
so anyway, like, another subplot. So this guy, Rogol Zal or whatever, he's escaped and he's come to Earth because he knows that Clark is a Kryptonian and he's on Earth. So he's basically destroying the Earth to get to Clark. He's trying to kill Clark, like, take him out. And so they have him and Supergirl have, like, this big battle or whatever, like, in Metropolis. Plus, the other underbelly of it is, in Metropolis, there's been, like, all these arson fires being set, and they can't figure out, like, who's setting all these fires. So that's, like, another subplot. So, and the Zora, whatever the hell his name is, he basically goes to Superman's Fortress of Solitude to, like, get his attention, and he destroys, like, the bottle of Candor. So he kills, like, all of the people that are in the bottle of Candor. And so Superman's, like, all torn up about that because he was supposed to, like, protect it, and they all died on his watch, and blah, blah, blah. So it's pretty much Supergirl and Superman without Lois Lane and John, who are off in space fighting. And then in issue 1001, like, it ends, and you see, like, this lady typing, tack, on, like, this typewriter. So apparently what he wants us to believe is that Lois Lane is back on Earth, but she didn't come back to Superman and tell him, and I have no idea where John is. And so, like, I was reading, like, I read this, and then I was doing my order today.
Yeah.
And I'm reading Action, the solicit for 1004, because I'm on the fence, and it's like, where was Lois Lane? Where is John? Are Superman and Lois still together? And I'm like, really? He's going to drag this out for 3 more issues? And I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I'm not getting in. I'm not getting in deep. I mean, Bendis is apparently in it for the long haul on this thing.
Definitely. So even Ryan Sook's art doesn't look that good here.
Yeah.
He's almost trying to do, like, a poor man's Kevin Nolan there.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Like I told you, the art.
I mean, Ryan Sook can do awesome artwork.
Yeah.
This is not.
And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, maybe this thing is rushed because it's a weekly book.
They got different.
They announced this. They have different people, and they announced this thing back in January. That's like, what, 6 months? I mean, you could have people on this.
Oh, the Doc Shaner one is good.
Yeah, the Doc Shaner and the first one are good. And the last one, I think, is better than the 3 in the middle.
Well, Fabok's doing it. He did some of the pages in between.
Yeah. I even like the Action 1001 is Patrick Gleason, and I love Patrick Gleason. And the art was a little bit better. It's not bad, but I'm just like, they really, I mean...
I read an article on Bleeding Cool, which was a rumor, but the hubbub at San Diego or something was that the Bendis book Superman are not selling as much as DC was hoping, and so
Probably not.
they're regretting. There's some hubbub that they're already regretting the awesome deal they offered him to come over to DC.
I mean, Bendis, like I said at the beginning, I love Bendis. I like what he's done with almost everything I read over at Marvel. I mean, obviously, I didn't read everything. Like, I didn't read...
Yeah, I get it.
I didn't read all of the... what's the chick?
You don't have to be specific. You
Anyway.
just say you didn't read everything.
Right. But, I mean, most of the mainstream stuff I read, I like. I like some of his stuff, but... I mean, they dropped the ball on this thing, I mean, somehow. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping that... And I'm not buying hardly any of his stuff, his original stuff that he's took over there, that he started up, because they all seem like the same thing to me that he's done 100 times, like creator-owned
Reboot,
stuff.
yeah.
So I didn't buy any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like Scarlet, I was so disappointed that it's taken forever for Scarlet to come out. When he restarted it over there, I'm like, no, thank you. So I'm hoping that his independent stuff does better for him or whatever. I mean, I'm just, like I said, this was it. Like, you've got Bendis, it's Superman. I've never been a Superman guy. You're kind of starting over. I know Bendis has a plan. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'll be on board. I'll read this. And then it's like, I'm out after like 7 issues.
You just don't have any resolve done.
Well, just if you
You're
can't.
a fickle fan.
No.
Fickle fan.
And then I'm thinking in my head, like always, like everybody, anytime you hear an interview with like any creator with Superman, they're like Mark Miller, it's like, Superman is so powerful, he's been around for so long, it's like what can you do with Superman? You know what I mean? Like what would make an interesting Superman book? Like, what kind of a villain, what kind of a creature, what kind of a thing? And I mean, like, the death of Superman, back whenever that happened, like that whole storyline, the death of Superman with Doomsday, and then the aftermath of that, like, that was a good, solid story, you know what I mean? And, like, that's probably the last time I read Superman consistently until they brought him back. But, I mean, they can do interesting things with him, and I thought Bendis would do well. I mean, it just, I don't know, it just seems more of a retcon, run-of-the-mill. And like...
I think you're just jaded.
Maybe I am. And so they have, like, the fires are happening, and so, like, they jam in this new fire chief. She's like a brand new character, which that's what Bendis does. He has strong female characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it felt so forced. It's like Superman comes down, there's a fire. Oh, hello, I'm whatever, Miss Molly. I'm like the brand new fire chief, and I'm here to, kick ass and take names or take names and kick ass. Or what is it?
You said it right the first time.
No, I know, but I'm trying to do the Infinity.
He's trying to do the
Infinity War. It's like, what do?
We kick names and take
ass. That's right. We kick names and take ass. But anyway, I mean, it's not terrible. Like, the story's okay. It's not horrible by any means, but I mean, it just didn't. It didn't turn a non-Superman fan into a Superman fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure that was their goal. Maybe it was.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure their goal was to have everybody reading Superman.
Yeah, I think that was the goal.
I mean, isn't that the goal with any book?
Sure.
And I mean, they did it just like Byrne. I mean, they had 2 full-page ads in there.
I know.
Bendis is coming.
Yeah, but
Bendis is here.
Byrne had the opportunity to like start from scratch and do everything new. Bendis has to still deal with the old continuity, and he's married and he's got a son.
Well, he took care of that real fast.
He tried, but I mean, it's still gonna come back. It's not like it's taken
Well,
care
apparently not. I don't know, because in
If they were smart, they would have
later.
They would have on the New 52 when they first started that, and they did a hard reboot. Then they would have. That would have been a good time to bring on Bendis.
Yeah.
He would have had a little more freedom to do whatever he wanted.
Right. Anyway,
I don't know.
that's a lot of Superman talk. If people are enjoying it and you like Superman, great. Like I said, it just didn't flip it for me. It's like it didn't bring me in, and I wanted it to bring me in because I really wanted to like a Bendis Superman book.
I understand. Scott has a board game that's stuck with.
Huh? Oh,
13 Clues or something.
I know. 13
That's
clues.
a weird name for a game. 13 Clues or something.
13 clues. Yeah, it's just 13 clues. The something is something.
That was mine.
It's an original concept,
Well,
but it looks like
So-
Sherlock Holmes.
so here's the thing. 13 clues. The idea, it's basically one of those type of deduction type games.
They should play it right now on the
So,
podcast.
yeah, probably could. that can be fairly quick. But the overall idea of it's a deduction game. It's from Cool Mini or Not, so CMON Games. They're actually what they're doing is they're being the distributor here, probably for the United States and for some other areas. That's why they have the original concept from Andres whatever.
It's a good thing nobody
type
watches
thing.
this.
Why is that? Because butchering
Because
names.
Drew is like moving the phone. It's going all
dumping
crazy.
all over the place. Yes.
People are gonna like start throwing up like they're on a roller coaster or something.
But this game has been out, I think, for some time over in Europe. So it's another one of those cases where it's nicely done. Where this bigger company's taking this concept from a smaller one, type thing, and trying to bring it over to a wider audience.
Right.
That was really cool there, Drew. But my family and I played it over the weekend and absolutely loved it. So that was a lot. Main thing I wanted to show was, hey, the reason I didn't get a lot of reading in was because
You were playing 13 clues.
we played 13 clues for probably a good 2 hours or something like this. I don't know.
Wow.
But that's multiple games. We probably played, I think it was 6 games at that time. I don't know. The overall idea, it's a deduction game. It's like a Clue, but without the board in a lot of ways. You're looking for a person that, committed a murder. Where did they commit it? And what weapon did they use? But the catch with this one is that everybody that plays gets 5 cards at the very beginning. And out of those 5 cards, there's at least one person, one place, and one weapon of some type. All right? And so then you take, out of those 5 cards, you take at least 3 of them that are lining up with that, and you take those 3 cards that are a person, a place, and a thing, and you put them into these slots of this board type thing. These little hidden boards. You put them into the slots so that to the person to your left, but your person to the left can't see them then. And so the whole object of the game is you're trying to guess what the hell is on the other side of this board that's sitting in front of you. So everybody has a different murderer, place, and thing in front of them, but they can see everybody else's,
but not theirs.
And so they're trying to guess what's in front of them. And you have like a little tablet, to try to keep track of whatever. And you're asking questions is what you're basically doing on your turn. Every person can either be a male or a female. Every place can be either indoor or outdoor. And every weapon can either be like a melee or a ranged type weapon. So there's like different suits of cards, different colors. So you can also guess, you can try to ask questions about color. But you can't ask how many male green cards do you see. You either have to say, how many male cards do you see, or how many green cards do you see. And for each one of those, that's basically, you have like a little magnifying glass token that's in front of you, and you pass that token to whoever you want to answer that question. And that's basically your action. So when it comes to your turn, you see how many magnifying glasses. It's basically how many questions people asked of you, type things, because you keep gathering those ones up, and then you have to spin those throughout your turn. And you can basically either, ask questions, or you can make a guess to try to find out who it was. But that's another key thing too. And when you're doing, traditional Clue, sometimes you had your cards in front of you. You would purposely say, you're always making a guess. I think it was so-and-so and so-and-so, was so-and-so. And a lot of times you guess one of the things that's in your eye that you already know in order to try to cipher things out here. In this case, when you make a guess what's in front of you, your guess has to be, you cannot guess anything you can see type stuff. Because not only can you see the things that are in front of everybody else, but you have 2 cards on the inside of this panel that only you can see and nobody else can. And so 2 hidden items that nobody else around the table knows. So that's part of the thing too. And it's to try to hesitate on making guesses, because if you make a guess, you have to guess none of the crap that you see, so people are already going, he doesn't see that it's the butcher because he guessed the butcher, and it's not in front of him either, so type thing. But I know it's not in front of me, so, it's kind of helps that. But it's fairly quick paced. It played very well, I felt, with like 4 people, and, it plays up to 6 people. But from that kind of deduction type of game, where you get to ask questions of people but still have that little bit of strategic elements, I thought it kind of filled in the blanks, and And like I said, I think it says 30 minutes, but shoot, once you learn the basics, you can probably be playing in 20 minutes, pretty easy. So, but it was one of those games that I played in Gen Con last year, but it was kind of still in its... It wasn't necessarily a prototype because, like I said, the game had already been released in Europe in some ways, but yet they were still, I think, experimenting with the bits and, and things of this nature and how they wanted to port it over here. And they were having people, try to teach it that probably were still learning the game themselves a bit. And so while the wife and I liked it, we were kind of like, yeah, we're still not entirely sure we feel comfortable with it. And then I picked it up at Gen Con this year, and yeah, we really love it.
Cool. I remember another movie I saw.
Oh.
1517 Paris. Have you seen that one?
Oh, I have not. Did you like it? That's
No.
Clint Eastwood, right?
It's horrible.
Okay, well, you
you
have
see it?
non-actor
No.
people.
Yeah,
People
he has
are playing
the actual,
themselves.
He's got the people who actually were in who like defended the attack playing the characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not actors,
Yep.
so they can't act. So that's bad. The script is horrible as well.
Is it?
Yeah, and they got some lady who worked at Quick Trip to write it or something, I think.
The lady who worked at Quick
Pretty much wrote the script. They got people who can't act in it, and it's Clint Eastwood. And usually, I love anything he does.
Yes.
This is horrible. I
Okay.
can't believe he put his name on this thing. It's just bad. Like it's like made for TV bad, but worse than that because the actors can't even act.
Huh. Well, I'm glad you told me that one because I think I have that.
Watch
somewhere.
it. Watch it and let me know what you think. It is. I thought it was horrible.
I had no interest in seeing that movie anyway.
Well, and then okay, so it's about that attack on the train in Paris or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
That part of the movie takes probably like 5 minutes of the whole movie, so it's all just building up to that because the attack itself happens like super quick,
So fast, yeah.
and so it's like I don't know. Did you ever see that movie? Was it Tully? No, not Tully. Scully, the one about the guy who landed on the plane.
Yes.
That's another movie. It's like the actual event it's about only took like 10 seconds, so they had to find a way to stretch this movie out for like. Was that Clint Eastwood as well?
No. I think
Might
that
have
was
been.
Spielberg.
No, I don't think it was.
And Scully?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Look it up.
It could
Could
have
have
been.
been.
But anyway, that's another movie where, but at least that was a lot better
But it had
done.
Tom
and you had
Hanks.
Tom Hanks, who's a good actor, and so he could carry that movie. When you got people who have never acted before, they can't carry the movie. When you have a really bad script and bad actors and actually 10 seconds of actual exciting things happening, that does not work. Not even Clint Eastwood could save that pile of crap.
I was watching some YouTube videos, and who's that guy, Graham? Who's the English guy that does a talk show? Graham Norton or something? And
Oh,
everybody
yes.
sits around and drinks wine glasses and stuff while he
I'll
talks.
be damned.
Was it
Director
Clint
was
Eastwood?
Eastwood. Very good
Okay.
in Sully.
But
Right.
he had Tom Hanks, so that worked.
But he
so
had Tom Hanks, yeah.
He tried it this time with with bad actors. Does
I
not
was going
work.
to say that it was because I was watching a clip and it was Tom Hanks, and he was on that show, and there was always like 3 people on the show, and so it was him and like 2 other actors, and so Tom Hanks is talking about Clint Eastwood because he was in a movie that Clint Eastwood directed, which must have been Sully, and he goes, yeah, he's very intimidating. It's Clint Eastwood. This is Tom Hanks talking.
Yeah.
And he's like, so when you're done with the scene or whatever, he'll just look at you and go, that's enough of that. And the other guy's like, what? He's like, every time, like he never says cut. And Tom Hanks is like, no. He'll just go, all right, that's enough of that. It was funny to watch. Like, I can't do it.
Well, the other thing that worked for Scully, okay,
Sully.
Was it? Oh, Sully,
Sully,
right.
yeah,
Sully,
Sully.
sorry. That was from X-Files. So
Yes.
the other thing that worked for Sully was that even though the movie was short and the exciting part took a very short amount of time, they did have the interesting part of the, like, actual legal, prosecution thing to deal with. And the one thing I really liked about that movie was the end they showed, they kept saying, well, you had 45 seconds to figure this out. It's like, no. And then they went and showed how, like, well, yeah, but in that he really only had 20 seconds because he had to make all these decisions, life and death, in this really short amount of time. He doesn't get to just immediately make the decision and turn around and go.
Right.
And so I thought that was a cool twist and interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that movie was really well done.
It is.
But there was nothing like that in 1517 Paris. There was no cool decision or, like, twist or anything that made it in any way interesting. Just, it was so bad. So bad, Dalton. And I can't believe Clint Eastwood made it. Like, I don't know that he's made, like, the only movie that's close to not being good, which I never sat through all the way, was that Trouble with the Curve, about not being the greatest, because I never sat through it all the way. But every other movie he's made in, like, the last 20 years has been
I've
excellent.
never even heard of that movie.
Trouble with the Curve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I didn't sit through it, so I can't say much.
There was someone had posted something on Facebook about there was a movie that opened with, and it had who's the oh my gosh, House of Cards.
Kevin Spacey?
Kevin Spacey.
No.
Like there was a movie that opened with
Did
Kevin
you hear about
Spacey,
that one
and
too?
it made like $200.
Oh, yeah, it made like nothing.
Or
Yeah,
it made like
did
$2,000 or $200 or something.
something pathetic.
It was pathetic, and then somebody was like, yeah, well, it only opened in like 10 theaters or something.
But even so, it only made
He
$200.
said, yeah, but that's like 6 people in each of the 10 theaters to like see this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I really feel bad for the other people that are involved with the movie. And I'm thinking, why? They get paid. If they don't get paid more because 1 million people see the movie, they still get paid the same, no matter
Well, it's
how many
like that.
times. I mean, the only people that maybe is like the director or the producer or whatever, but like the other people involved with it, they get paid.
Well, did you ever see All the Money in the World, that recent one?
With Kevin Spacey.
Well, it's funny, he was in it, but they reshot
yeah,
all
they
the scenes with
reshot
him and
it.
replaced him with Christopher Plummer.
Oh, yeah, I heard
It's
about
like,
that.
Christopher Plummer's in it a lot. They had to reshoot a lot of that movie to
I
do
know,
that.
they spent a lot to do that. I can't believe that they
I was like,
went that
wow.
far with it.
After seeing that movie, you're like, wow, they spent a lot of money redoing this because that was a lot of
Yeah.
scenes.
Wow.
And they pulled it off. It felt very seamless.
Really?
I was impressed.
Now, what'd you think of that movie?
It was okay. It wasn't great, but it
Okay.
wasn't horrible.
I
It was
don't
no
even know
horrible
that
15-17 Paris.
I think the last thing I watched was the Marvel thing, obviously, but what the hell did I watch before that? I watched Blockers, I think.
Yeah,
That's
that's
kinda funny.
kind of funny. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's okay.
Did you see Death Wish yet? With Bruce Willis?
No.
Should
Did you
see
like
that.
it?
I don't know. It's a fun,
The
B
fun type of
movie,
thing, yeah, little
ridiculous.
popcorn flick thingy.
Yeah.
I still haven't even seen Ready Player One.
I
That's
did
pretty
see
good. You
that.
should see that. You'll like it.
Yeah,
I know,
I
it's
liked
like a
it,
video
and
store,
you know, I
right?
read the book, and it takes a lot of changes from the book, honestly. But I thought overall it kept the essence of the book. I knew some people that had read the book that were real big fans of it, and they just did not like the movie. The movies, I thought it felt very Spielberg-like, you know. I mean, Spielberg knows how to keep a good pace going, you know, and everything, and how to try to, you know, pull the heartstrings, you know, that type of stuff, you know, build the emotion and things. You know, there's obviously things in it that, you know, you look back in and it's like, that, why the hell, that makes absolutely no sense, you know, for whatever. But I mean, it's
Don't think about it too.
yeah, exactly. Don't think about it too hard.
My wife went and saw The Meg.
Oh,
I've
really?
heard good
That looks
things.
good.
I mean, for a stupid
For
movie.
for a popcorn
I
flick
wanted
type of
to
thing.
see it, but it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was so freaking tired because I think it was the day after I'd moved Miranda up to Topeka.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think they went to see it at like 4 in the afternoon or 5. I was just like,
You really don't have to do any work in a movie. You just sit there and watch.
yeah, I would have fallen asleep. Like I literally would have fallen asleep.
Not with
That's
the big
okay.
shark staring at you.
I probably could have,
Yeah, fair enough.
but anyway. So I did not get to see The Meg.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all we have. Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. We'll be back hopefully in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.